Welcome to the Product Boss Podcast, where we help product-based businesses grow their sales and improve their strategies.
Hey everyone, I want to introduce you to my co-host and biz bestie, Minna an Amazon guru that has built a multi-six-figure product-based business.
And introducing the other half of the Product Boss, Jacqueline Snyder. She has helped launch and grow over 500 fashion apparel and accessory brands, even one of her own.
And together, we share our inventory of secret weapons that will help you dig deep and do the work it takes.
Are you ready? Let's build together.
Hey everyone, and welcome to a bonus episode of the Product Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Jacqueline Snyder, with the lovely Minna. Hey Minna.
Hey Jacqueline.
So we are so excited to share with you today. We are doing this bonus episode so we could dig into the framework of our upcoming mastermind, Holiday to Halo, that is starting in September. We are going to talk about the framework that we have developed, and it's called Cycle. What we want to do is we want to help you set your goals into a cycle. So if you set a goal and you work in cycles, there is a greater chance of success. And Cycle is our acronym for the framework that we are working on. So Minna, did you want to dig into all of the letters?
Yeah. Can you believe how easy we made it? Cycle into cycle. So basically, I wanted to touch on a little bit why we created this framework, but we saw in all of our masterminds that when people were working on similar things, like when we set the assignment for each other to look at each other's websites and things like that, they were able to push for further because other people were doing it. I think this must be how schoolwork happens. You know, you give a little bit of schoolwork and all those people do it to a bigger capacity because everybody's working on the same thing, and you're able to not so much compete with each other, but compare with what other people are doing. And then it gets you that much further. So we created this framework based on the acronym Cycle. So then we can each week, so this is a cycle of 5 weeks. You know, there's a lot of people that will do 2-week cycles that make it digestible. Ours is 5 weeks. So then you're able to really work on big things. And then you repeat the cycle 5 weeks again. So you're repeating this. So this happens, 5, I'm not going to do the math, but in the 6 months, it happens quite a few times. So we'll be able to see and really track the progress.
You should have done this podcast. You know, we're real good at math.
You do the math yourself, and you'll know that every 5 weeks we're doing this acronym cycle. So should we get into it, Jacqueline?
Absolutely.
So the first C is content. And you know, content is king and queen. And so basically we're working on what you should be posting or putting out there, because a lot of times the biggest question is, what should I have for content, right?
I think we've talked about this. Some of the biggest questions that people say are visibility and sales. And so creating your visibility is that content. So what do you put out there? Oftentimes as a product-based business, people aren't really sure what they're promoting. Are they on camera? Are they showing their product? How do they talk about their product? And so by creating content, we want to help you strategize a content calendar. So what we're talking about on each of the platforms, if it's content even for if you're selling wholesale and it's the content that you're sending to your buyers, for example, we just want you to create what you're talking about, the story, and how you're going to use that to get out there via blog, via social media, to your customers on your email list, to basically anyone that you're reaching out to creating that content.
Yeah, I think that content for product-based businesses is your way of showing what your value is. You know, so you're giving your customer the product, but you're also saying, here is how I'm delivering it, and here is, you know, all these things that make up our brand. But what do you post? So we'll be working with that first and foremost to see, you know, what your product line looks like and what type of content you could be throwing out there to really attract your ideal customer.
And it's getting creative with it too. And we've done some episodes in the past that if you want to look at, we've done a whole video series on how to use video and the different ways that people are using it. And there's all different ways. And so the thing that I love about this cycle and working in cycles is we could try something in your first round and then try something new in the second round. Or if something's working, we keep building on that.
Yeah, or we could all try different things and then pull from each other's mistakes and data and see, hey, I should try what she did, but maybe tweak it in a different way. So I think that that's really exciting because content is tough. You don't know what's going to connect with people. And sometimes it just takes somebody saying, this is a really easy way of doing it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's our first and foremost right there. Next is why. So why is yourself or yourself. So check yourself. It's basically a one-page audit where you're looking at yourself and saying, am I, showing my brand? How am I showing up as the brand I want to show up as? So it could be the words that you're using, the avatar. Is your avatar in a different season now than they were in the 5 weeks prior? Do you need to be using different words or a different season of their life, or maybe it's back to school or something, you're changing it up. And then also, are your colors on point? Is your website okay? Basically, every 5 weeks, you should be checking yourself as a brand and making sure you're consistent and clear and able to convert.
Yes, it's you. It's a question back to you. Are you doing this? Are you connecting with your customer? Are you creating what your customer needs? And so that's taking a look at where we see the holes in our businesses and then how to fix them. And we could use that cycle. We're not going to do it all at once. We'll use that cycle to work on one thing, whether it's a system or a color or a rebrand or a product or sales, whatever it is, whatever we sort of identify by working together, we'll be able to adjust and correct and pivot, which Minna always says, as a small business, we're able to make these pivots. You're able to check yourself and then
Before you wreck yourself.
before you wreck yourself. And we're able to make those changes quite quickly. So we'll move on to the next one. So the next C.
Yeah, the next C is connections. So this is all around connections. I feel like it could be personal connections or it could be business connections, but really you're tapping into like actually doing a touch point, reaching out to people. It could be, if it's personal people, it could be people that that will add value to your life or you will add value to theirs. And it's just like making a list of people you want to connect with and how you'll be connecting with them and actually doing it.
So we, as podcasters, have created a list of connections that we have that we are going to reach out to people to be on the podcast, or people that have reached out to us to be on the podcast, and sort of and doing that. And so the first part was that just figuring out who those connections were. You as a product-based business, it's the same thing. Do you have a friend whose sister owns a store? Do you know someone that's an attorney that could help you with your trademark? It's really digging deep into the people that are in your community or the connections you have. And this person is this person is this person that will bring that connection and move your business forward. So quick little story. My husband's cousin, who's a police officer, has this brilliant invention. It's going to be patented. I think it's brilliant. And so he called my father-in-law, because my father-in-law has his own business, and he called my father-in-law and he said, hey, I've got this idea. What do you think about it? I was asking him a bunch of questions. Well, it's a sewn product. And my father-in-law is like, I could help you with the business side of it, but I have no idea. But you should call Jacqueline. And he's like, what do you mean call Jacqueline? He had no idea what I did. And I spent, an hour on the phone with him. He's sending me a prototype, and I'm going to help connect him to different vendors to sew this, because bless his heart, he is a cop by day and has a sewing machine at night and is sewing this product.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
It's so great. And I hopefully one day can speak about it. But that was a connection that he had no idea was going to lead him to somebody who, for the past 11 years, I've literally done this for people, and he had no idea that I existed in his family as that person that could take his idea and turn it into reality. So, we're going to dig into what your needs are. We're going to look at who you need to connect with, or who you can connect with that's already within your world.
Yeah. And, if let's say we're 3 weeks deep into this, or 3 cycles deep, I would say, so we're 15 weeks. You get the math. You understand.
Needs to be added to our bio. Excellent at math and counting in our heads.
I need my calculator. But let's say your connection isn't like as profound as Jacqueline's, where it's like a business one and making a big life change. But maybe it's just connecting more with your spouse or connecting more with a friend that you've kind of lost track of. I think that those are important too, because then you can just spend that cycle on that connection. And then, you don't have to just make one connection. It's really piecing together your life to really think about it. So that's what the cycle really is all about. You're popping it up there to evaluate it too.
Yeah, I like that. I actually have a couple of friends I need to call more often. So maybe when we're in the cycles, I want to pop that in. Because once you have kids and your life takes over and you're in different time zones, it just doesn't happen. Or it's about just, the way that Mina and I met, that we connected through the Facebook community that we were in some time ago, and making that effort to connect with people outside of our family and our friends, and like expanding our community. So the next letter is L.
L for lead generation. So lead generation is really when you're thinking about leads, it's like people that could lead to sales, right? And so I like to think of it as your platforms. So you're pushing out to platforms, but you're also pulling in from platforms. So you're basically funneling in, but funneling out too. So are you doing enough where you're generating the leads, but then they're converting and then you're, making it go through its own cycle? So does that make sense?
We want you to think about also what kind of leads you need to generate. Are you looking for customers to come to your e-commerce store? Are you looking for stores to buy your product? Are you looking for you to get onto different platforms? There's also this idea of like all the things and all the places you could sell to, and then how to connect with them and how to like generate those leads. Also, some people use LinkedIn because that's a big way. I don't know if that's always in our world, but people will connect through that. And so ultimately at this point, it's going back to the connections part, but then who else do you need to create these leads with to move your business forward?
Yeah, this phrase, even though I felt so good about it using it for the L, but it makes more sense for service based because you're generating leads, you're filling up your pipeline. So you have to kind of think of it as in the sense of product. So sales, like even if it's like we're going to have Danielle Spurge of Merriweather Council on the podcast, and she talks about how leading up to the holidays, she'll put a holiday insert into her packages in October, so that she'll tell them about the upcoming sale in November. Let's say she didn't get that specific. I'm just trying to give an example here, but that will generate some leads for her because she's doing it in a push out and then pushing in. So I think that's really important, thinking about the whole process and then generating the leads in every part of your process to see if you can, even if it's just an Amazon sale, if you can get them to your traffic onto your website. You're generating leads in every which way that you can. And it's important because eventually those leads will end up as sales if you touch them enough.
Absolutely. And so the final letter in cycle, which is our framework for our upcoming mastermind holiday to Halo, is E.
Email. So I know email can get super annoying because everybody talks about it, but it's one of those things that you cannot ignore. There's so many things that you could do with email that even if you do a little bit, it's important for you to even just to do that little bit because, there's like those post-purchase emails saying thank you and hey, can you review our product? Or hey, did you know we have this? So even in those emails, it's just your way of direct connecting with somebody. And then the cycle kind of forces you to do it. And it could be emails to, Jacqueline, you were saying emails to other people too, right?
Yeah. So I think depending on who you need to email or who you need to get in contact with, and that's going to, all the things above this for cycle. It could be emailing stores. It could be emailing buyers. It could be emailing, warm leads or customers. It could be emailing people to get more visibility. I have a client, or one of our clients, she, how do I say this? She's like an expert at radiation, basically, like how radiation affects the body, and she's creating a product to protect your body from radiation. Well, she also could become way more visible about knowing all of this about radiation, and here's her solution for people. And so even just emailing contacts, like things for press, getting on TV, being on other people's blogs. It's just that reach out. So again, it's going out again and emailing people and connecting and making them aware that you're there.
Yeah, and email is easier now, you guys, where you can even batch it out. Let's say we spend that week on emails and you don't want to send all those emails out. All you have to do is schedule out those emails and then you're able to trickle them out. And this could be personal emails to wholesalers or to boutiques or anything where it would fit a certain timeline. And that way at least you're thinking about it. You know that your fortune is in the follow up, so it could be just setting up the emails for 3 weeks later when you know that you need to touch base and say, hey, I know we talked 3 weeks ago. Were you ready to order, something for your daycare or whatever. And so I think email is just like, it should be a very people, it's so legit now. People, like, if you send a personal email to a boutique, it's better than calling them sometimes. I mean, calling is probably best, but sometimes it starts with an email, right?
And I'm gonna take email a little bit further and say email is any sort of like direct communication digitally. So not like comments, but basically whether you're on Instagram and you're direct messaging somebody, because a lot of people are responding to their direct messages. If you're on Facebook and you're writing a message and reaching out, there's bots, there's Facebook Messenger, which is like, um, I don't love it when people contact me through Facebook Messenger as like a business inquiry, because it's actually not a system that I have set up within my business. But there are people who have set up, stores and selling product through Facebook, and that's their notification system. So whether it is through social media or through, regular email, like MailChimp, or if you're doing bots or whatever interaction, some people have like those cool little chats on their website where it's like you have a question and the chat button pops up, which I love on certain things, like on certain sites that I'm on, that I'm like, I have a question, especially like a tech question. So really this whole email is, I think, the communication that you're creating, and that reach out and connecting, which goes back up to the top of this as well, but connecting and communicating with them.
Yeah, and I think email will also be, since this holiday to Halo is hitting the what is it, Black Friday,
Cyber Monday, it's at
Cyber Monday.
5.
Yeah, we'll be setting up emails to go out for promotional emails as well. So it's just like, what is this, like a tenfold plan with email? So I think that's important too, because a lot of times if you don't set it up, you're not going to do it. And it could just be like a handful of sales. So I think that that's important, is just thinking about your email, because you should have a strategy in mind. Then also thinking about who you need to be emailing within that cycle, and then following up again in the next cycle.
And I think, again, so the purpose of this specific program, when we're launching it in September, and it will take you through March, is that we're doing this Holiday to Halo program. So people have been working on their businesses, let's say in the summer, and in September, I mean, that at that point is already not late, but you really have to be in your business, and you need to be working, because we talked to Daniel Spurgeon. He said that it was like 17 to 18 days of people actually placing orders to, you having to ship it to them. And so it's this really tiny, small window that we want you to be set up to ship, to be working in your business, shipping, versus having to worry about these emails and content and connections. So as we're going through these cycles, we're going to be building up to this biggest sale time. And like Minna said, she's like, her biggest sale time is actually September for little labels, right? It's like back to school, or sometimes in the summer with camps. But people are still willing to spend their money at Christmas. There's things that they're going to need. There's sales. Like she might have a Black Friday sale, and I might say like, I'm going to go buy 10 of them because I can get them super discounted now than later, because we're also all buying into these sales. And so we want you guys to go through these cycles, learn to implement them into your business, and really rev up. It's like changing gears on your bicycle as you're like climbing that hill, right? You gotta keep changing those gears as you're getting up that hill. You're getting closer to that peak, and that's the time that you're gonna hit the peak, and you're gonna coast down, and hopefully with tons of sales. And the new thing that we kind of figured out, what we were talking about, was that holiday to halo. So holiday is when you buy for other people. You're buying gifts, you're shipping. Somebody has to love what they're buying as a gift because they think someone else is going to like it, and they're attracted to it. Cut to in Q1, which is when our Holiday to Halo program moves into, then we want to focus your content, your connections, your lead generation, and your email into telling people now it's time to buy for yourself. So taking that product, like I bought Mina that bracelet off of Etsy for her birthday. I bought myself one. Came later, but I was like, I kind of love it and I'm going to buy it for myself. So it's a way to also keep in contact with all of these people that have been purchasing from you and now telling them, okay, you bought it for this person. How about for yourself? It's time for yourself. The new year is about yourself. It's about improving your life. It's about cleaning things up. It's about going back to the gym. It's about whatever your resolution is. And so many people's resolutions are to take better care of themselves. So why not by buying your product?
Yeah, we're just helping them shift their focus, and we're doing it in like kind of these 5-week cycles of different goals. So when Jack and I were talking about, what do we call this? Is it a framework? Is it pillars? I think it is like, even if you think about it as pillars, these are the pillars that you should have in any business, and then repeating them, right? Content, yourself, connections, lead generation, email. These are the pillars that if you work on these in a cycle constantly, you'll be able to propel your business forward no matter what. And you should always be evaluating these in a cycle amount of time. Even like the leads and the email and everything. Your emails might become obsolete. Your different connections might change. So I think that that's really important because your business changes with each cycle you go through.
And so I just wanted to kind of recap what our mastermind is about. So this is not a course where it's fully focused on these cycles, but what our feedback was from the masterminds that we've had over the past year is that people want accountability. So we've done times where we've met every week. We've done times where we've met every other week. This program will be every other week basically that we're meeting, and in those off weeks there's things that we're going to work on as well. So we are going to be present in that community. We're going to be present in that VIP Facebook group with you as you're working on this cycle, as we're working through this. There's going to be feedback. There's going to be content given. We're going to be creating our own master classes for you per month so that we're able to really train and focus on certain things that we see that are coming up within the community that looks like it needs to be helped. So visibility or strategy, whether it's really specific into how to do Instagram. We had done a masterclass on basically all the social media platforms and how, like a crash course.
Yeah, I think what we saw too was that when people were working on, they would have like hot seat questions. So in our mastermind, you'll get a hot seat question where you'll be able to share some struggle you are having trouble with, and then we'll coach you. So you'll still get that hot seat question, but if you're working on other things too, you're able to do that much more and then have feedback on even more in your business. So then like if that particular group member or fellow masterminder doesn't have any suggestions for you for your hot seat, they might have suggestions for you for your content that month, and that will really help you to think bigger than you already are.
So to just recap the framework of the Product Boss Mastermind, Holiday to Halo, I just wanted to get clear with you. So it is a small group. It's an intimate group of people in our mastermind. They have a private VIP group where we are all able to share. Again, we support each other through our wins and through our struggles. We are 2 expert coaches for product-based businesses. There's action and accountability, and there's product specific inspiration. So many of us are listening to podcasts or part of groups that are service based, but this one is very specific to product based businesses. And this is for you if you want more sales, if you want to tap into the power of the holiday season, if you want more action, but you also need guidance. And also, if you love working strategically, but creatively as well. And if you're energized by the idea of like-minded entrepreneurs that, come together in this community and achieve and set really big goals. So in our groups, this is what's included. There's the hot seat calls. So they're 90-minute biweekly calls that are held online and we record them. The hot seats are coached by Minna and myself. And also there's feedback from the group. And so you'll get assigned your hot seat, and you have your hot seat multiple times during the 6-month program. And the hot seat question would be something like a struggle or something you're dealing with in your business or somewhere that you want to scale. You'll bring the question to the group, and then it's great minds working together to help you work on your business. Again, we're also doing those in-depth trainings. So they're going to be training videos led by myself and Minna together or separate. And we're going to dig deeper into questions or topics that come up in calls or in our community that need to be addressed. There's also this really cool thing that we've come up with, because there's been, talk of biz besties and biz buddies and biz accountability partners. And so we're actually going to assign you a fellow business masterminder to have a coffee chat with, to get to know each other's businesses and make connections. So we want to encourage the connections, and we're going to help kind of like blind date that together, let you guys start to meet each other and see if there's a bond. And that's going to switch also monthly. And so that way, like if you do really connect, maybe you've got someone you talk to, but you're able to personally connect with the people in your group. We're also going to have office hours. So these are monthly 60-minute sessions to ask us questions that might pop up in the day-to-day business decisions in an informal setting. And that's going to be combined of our group. So it'll be the groups that we have, that everyone's going to be able to be a part of it. And then that way we can kind of co-work together virtually, and you'll be able to listen to some really cool like Q&A questions. Again, there's that closed Facebook group with your group only. So if it's your specific mastermind group, it's just going to be the people within that. And the exciting thing is that Minna and I are going to be together on Sunday, November 4th in Irvine, California, and we're offering a free live event. So if you're a local, if you want to fly in for it, if you're in the neighborhood around that time, we're going to have an in-person mastermind with guidance and next level coaching. And it's optional if you want to be there, but if you can be, we'd love to hug you and say hello to you in person.
Yeah, it's more of a meetup, I think, right? Besides the people that are in the mastermind, we'll be able to coach them one-on-one, face-to-face. That'll be really exciting. And then also, the office hours, I think, are a really cool addition. We haven't actually solidified if we're going to be combining all groups or not. So I think you'll be able to ask questions, though, as you go, right?
Yeah, because I think we listened to the feedback, and one of the things was that depending on the person and their business size, some of them needed more touch points with us, like more coaching throughout the month. And some people were okay with just meeting up at the call. So there's these optional added times where you can still work with Minna and myself and within the community.
So that's it, you guys. We invite you to apply and to be a part of that, and to grow with us for the next 6 months and really build your business. Super exciting.
So check out the link below in our show notes if you'd like to apply. And please remember, spaces are limited, and we will be closing the doors towards the end of August.
This episode was brought to you by our new mastermind program, Holiday to Halo. You get the guidance of both myself and Jacqueline as your coaches inside an amazing group of fellow product-based business owners. Starting in September, we'll be getting a head start and ramping up to make a big impact on sales for the Cyber 5, which is Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday. Then on to Christmas revenue strategy. And to boost your growth into the new year, we'll be setting your business up for Halo sales into Q1. We would love for you to join us. Go to theproductboss.com/mastermind for more information.